loud enough? Good. Okay, great. It's an honor for me to be here at such a critical event for Oman and for our company. Today I'm going to talk about how the private sector can help Oman achieve the 2040 vision. So first I'll begin with the various things that I want to talk about today, beginning with our people. People are really the foundation not only of our company, but of the country. And they're really important to our success and the success of Oman 2040. Secondly, I want to talk about some of the business practices that have helped us create opportunities for Omanis outside of our company. And the last thing I want to talk about is how Oxy can be a support for Vision 2040 as we go toward a low-carbon environment, and that is more to renewables and power generation that has less emissions. So first, beginning with our people. I read in the pre-read documents that there was a concern that some of the Omani people prefer to work for the government because those jobs have more security. So I took that as a challenge. You know, our companies in the private sector have to be able to compete. We have to provide employees with a workplace that not only is challenging, but rewarding. So we work a lot on our culture, and through our culture, what we try to do is empower and engage our employees. And if we can do that, we believe that we can attract the talent that we need to be successful. And the data shows that if you have a highly engaged workforce, you're likely to create, and if you're in the upper quartile of that with employee engagement, you're likely to generate 50% more total shareholder value for your company and for your shareholders than other companies. So culture is important. And as a part of that culture, to continue to keep our employees engaged, we really focus on employee development and what we can do for training. So in country here in Oman, we have developed 3 state-of-the-art learning centers for our employees. They're located in Muscat, our operations in Makaysna, and in northern Oman. These learning centers have a capacity to train 240 employees a day. And in the Muscat Center, we have a simulator which enables us to actually train on scenarios that our employees could face in our field operations. So this accelerates their learning in a classroom environment where it's safe, so that they can learn some of the things that they might encounter in the field and how to deal with it. So in addition to these learning centers, one of the things that I think is most exciting about a development program we have for our employees is that we send key employees who are either engineers or geoscientists. We select them to go to Houston for training. In this Houston training group, but we send the employees with a specific project to work on. So it's not classroom training, it's really dealing with a key project that we have here in Oman. These training assignments are not for a week or a month. These training assignments are for 2 years normally, and at least 1 year, but up to 2 years. They go and they stay in Houston. And in Houston, they work within a team that's all Omanis, working on the projects and the things that we need to solve here in country. The reason that's important is they're away from the operations and they're in an environment where they can really focus on the task at hand. And they get the opportunity to collaborate with other of our employees in Houston. And so if you were to refer back to what Dr. Hausman would say about this, he would say that these employees that we send to Houston are learning more letters and creating more words, and therefore have a broader experience and will be able to do more when they come back here to Oman. But that's not the only thing that happens. Our Houston employees learn from our Omanis who go to Houston. So that's a win-win scenario for our company. And that's one of our most successful training programs, because when you're learning on a real-life scenario, that learning sticks with you. Another thing that we've developed is, and this is a pilot program for our company. We're piloting it here in Oman. It's a virtual reality center where we have developed and used these high-fidelity 3D virtual reality to simulate a plant operation. So our employees can learn more about the plant, what to do in the plant through this virtual reality. Again, another safe environment for learning, and it's like they're really out there working on things. We're also going to take this same sort of technology and apply it to subsurface learning as well. So it's not just for learning about things that are on the surface. We believe that we can do our jobs better and actually use this as a tool to improve our characterization of our reservoirs and our subsurface. So this is really important for us. The other thing that we're doing with respect to in-country value initiatives is we have several programs, one of which is around the local community contractors. We now have more than 56 local community contractors working for us. We have 5 of these super community contractors working for us, and those have been a value add to our operations. And to help those, especially the super large ones get started, our team worked with the companies to try to ensure that they had the right personnel, the right business plan, and help them learn the financials and how they needed to run their business. And so that's been a successful thing for us. The other thing is with respect to our small and medium enterprises, we now have, we've worked with and spent up to $100 million since the inception of the program in 2014. So we're aggressively working with our SMEs to make sure that they're being successful. And now out of the SME program, in some cases, they've more than quadrupled the size of their company. So the 2 now have actually moved into the large size category. So we're having success with that. Now we're the largest oil and gas company, independent company here operating in Oman. And as such, we have 2,700 Oxy employees, 90% of whom are Omani. So 2,700 employees in country, 90% Omanis. Now this number here on the slide is a little bit outdated. We've created 20,000 total jobs. So the jobs that are outside of our company that we've been able to create are over 17,000. And that includes direct contractors working for us and then contractors working for those contractors. So out of the direct contractors that work for us, and those number over 14,000, almost 50% of those are now Omanis. So that's working well for us and working well for our continued development and creation of jobs. Now I want to talk about some of what I think is one of the more exciting things we're doing, because many of our peer companies in the oil and gas industry are also working with SMEs and working with local community contractors. They're doing those things as well and creating value and jobs. But one of the things that I believe ultimately we will be able to make a difference with, and it's unique to us, is to move Oman further toward a lower carbon energy environment. And what that means is that we will move ultimately to a lower emission environment. And to do that, part of it is starting to use renewables. And in our Mukhaizna operations, we recently signed an MOU with a solar company to install 2 gigawatts of solar power energy in our Mukhaizna steam operations. That'll generate about 100,000 barrels per day of steam. That MOU is in place, and we're starting to move toward getting that installed. In addition, I hear that Oman will soon put in some wind power. Now, on the right side of this slide shows 2 technologies that are unique to us now, to Oxy, in that we've invested in these 2 technologies. The top one is what's called net power. Net power is a new type of electric generation that it doesn't use the natural gas with air. It combusts natural gas with oxygen, and in doing that generates a lower cost electricity and a pure stream of CO2. Now, the pure stream of CO2 can be used in enhanced oil recovery. And we at Occidental, we're the largest CO2 handler in the world for enhanced oil recovery. Our very large operations of CO2 enhanced oil recovery projects in the Permian Basin are generating significant value for our company. And we're starting in the Permian Basin to develop a strategy that will take anthropogenic CO2, that's man-made CO2 from industry, and take that CO2 to the Permian Basin for sequestration. So what the world now knows that wasn't known before is that to be able to achieve the 2-degree cap on global warming that the Paris Accord talked about and has an initiative to do, to achieve that, you must have carbon capture and sequestration. That has to be a part of the solution. Renewables alone won't get us there. So with our expertise handling CO2 and using CO2 and sequestering it in oil reservoirs, what that does is it enables us to use and will enable us to use newer technologies here in Oman ultimately that will create jobs in this sector, and not only creates jobs but creates the opportunity to use the CO2 for enhanced oil recovery. So we'll increase our oil production, increase revenues for the country, and do it in a lower, no emission kind of environment. So that's really important for not only us, but for Vision 2040. In addition, that the slide on the lower side of the panel shows a direct capture process where that equipment takes air and then separates CO2 out of the air. And that's another potential source of CO2 for us to, again, lower the CO2 emissions in the atmosphere and then use that CO2 for the good of Oman and Oxy, the creation of jobs, the creation of additional oil revenue for the state. So we're really excited about that and think that that's something that we'll be able to use here that's, again, unique to what Oxy can do. And so I'll just close with the fact that as a CEO, I've had the opportunity to meet leaders from all around the world, both in business and government. And one thing I can tell you about I've even met the Pope, but one thing I can tell you about all of those things is that something you already know, and that is that there's no greater leader in the world than His Majesty Sultan Qaboos. And we at Oxy have complete confidence and trust in him, and trust in this vision, this 2040 vision. But also because of what I said earlier, knowing our Omani employees the way we do, having worked with them, knowing their character, knowing what they can do, we certainly have complete trust in all of you as well that we together will achieve this 2040 vision. Thank you.